Okay. Welcome. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Nevada County, welcome to our very first forum for this primary season. My name is Jan Bedane. I'm co-president of the League of Women Voters. And tonight's forum is for our Nevada City Council. I want to really thank all of these candidates, the three candidates here, for agreeing to participate. And I want to thank our audience members who are here with us in person, as well as anybody who is watching this, streaming it live, and anybody who's going to be watching it later. We do feel that these are valuable so that citizens can understand who their candidates are and make an informed decision. We have three more forums coming up that I want to just mention. On the 29th, we're actually partnering with Stanislaus County and several other leagues for insurance commissioner, the state insurance commissioner. That is going to be a virtual forum, and you have to register for that. And if you go to our website, www.lwvnevadacounty.org, you'll be able to find out information about that. This is a really important position. We all know this because of the fire situation up in our area. We are going to be taking questions for that also to send down to the folks who are running it down in Stanislaus County. So again, visit our website for that. On the 30th, we will have Superintendent of Schools, Nevada County Superintendent of Schools. That's going to be live and at the Root Center at 6 p.m. And then on May 4th, we are fortunate to be able to have a congressional forum for District 3. And we have at least 6 candidates who are confirmed, and it's quite possible that we will have all 8. This was took a lot of effort, and we needed to work particularly with Ami Bera's schedule because he is a city member of Congress, and so it was a short window, small window, and we were able to get it. So please make sure that you go to our website to find out more information about that as well. The League puts on these forums to provide a safe venue to share ideas and visions with the community, for the candidates to share their vision and ideas with the community. We expect respectful discourse, both amongst the candidates and amongst ourselves. Somebody just asked me about applause. I would really appreciate it if you would hold applause until the very end. Applause takes away from us finding out more about the candidate. So please hold your responses. Our origins go back to 1978, Nevada County League of Women Voters. If you appreciate what we do, we are in the middle of we're in the beginning actually of a fundraising campaign. Your vote, your future. Please donate. Help us continue to do this work. We're all volunteer. We're small, but we're mighty, and it does take money to do some of this stuff. So please consider a donation to the League of Women Voters. At this point, I am going to turn it over to our moderator, Jennifer Granger. Jennifer is a local attorney and has done this many times, so we're all in good hands.
Okay. Well, now it's on. Okay. So tonight we have the forum for Nevada City Council. There are 2 open seats of a total of 5 members on the council. Each term is for 4 years. There are 3 candidates tonight. First, Adam Klein, who's the only incumbent here tonight. Next, Jim Hotami. And third is Michaela Sortland. So each candidate will give a 1-minute opening statement. Then each candidate will give a 2-minute closing statement. They each have 1 minute to answer questions. And each candidate will have a total of up to 2 rebuttals per the answer period, the forum period. So the questions were solicited from the community and filtered for redundancy and bias, creating concise questions for all candidates. We did our best. We're hoping they're concise. Time limits will be strictly observed and identified by our timekeepers, and all candidates agreed to the rules and expectations required by League of Women Voter guidelines. So based on the candidates choosing numbers, it was determined that Michaela Sortland will give an opening statement first, followed by Mr. Hotami, followed by Mr. Klein. So with that, Ms. Sortland, if you would give your opening statement.
Good evening. So nice to be here. So nice to see so many friendly faces. My name is Michaela Sortland. I am a disability advocate. I have 20 years of experience advocating for disabled community members and helping them through their disability appeals process. I am from Nevada City. My husband is from Nevada City. We grew up here. We are entirely vested in this community. We care a lot about this beautiful community. We want to make sure it thrives, not just for our generation, but for future generations. I also want to thank the League of Women Voters, including Jennifer and Jan, for having us tonight and for supporting the democratic process, and for all of you for being here tonight and taking part in democracy. Thank you.
Mr. Hotami?
Good evening. I'm Jim Hotami. Thank you for all coming. Ultimately, this race comes down to experience and qualifications. Just like to get some little fact out of the way. Some supporters of my opponent for the open seat have been saying that I do not live here. That's not true. We bought our house in Nevada City 13 years ago, and I have lived here for full-time for 6 years. My opponent, as she has said herself, has been here for a year. I believe that my time here has given me the experience that's needed on the city council. I got into public life here in Nevada City when I ran a successful effort to prevent a developer from destroying a historic wall and pathway on American Hill. Later, I was appointed to the Planning Commission because of my neighborhood experience. I'm running because I care about our town. I'm for a vibrant business community, fiscal responsibility, and careful housing growth. I will work hard for Nevada City.
Thank you. Mr. Klein?
Thanks to the League for hosting, as Michaela said. When I ran 4 years ago, one of my reasons was because I saw there wasn't anyone then serving on the council who grew up here. I thought that was a perspective worth having on our governing body, and the past 4 years have confirmed that for me. There are folks who've only experienced Nevada City as a retired person, and I get it. This does look like an amazing place to retire. But I've experienced this place as a child, as a young adult working my first jobs, a songwriter and musician, as a renter, a first-time homeowner, a downtown business owner, and now as your mayor. And I bring all of those perspectives to bear when it's time to make decisions. I recognize my election 4 years ago was the community I love making an investment in me. And I'm proud to tell you that it's been a very educational, very busy 4 years. You told my council to focus on fire safety, and we did. You can see the difference just driving around town. We accomplished a lot in many different areas, and I'm happy to talk about all of those accomplishments tonight. There's so much more to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our first question is for Michaela Sortland. Where are my questions? Okay. Okay. So the first question is, what have you identified as the top 3 issues currently facing Nevada City and why?
The top 3 issues that I have identified facing Nevada City include the threat of wildfire that is very real and scary. And when we talk about changing the character of our community, I can't think of anything that would change the character of our community more than a wildfire event. We are also facing changing economic times and environmental times. Those changes have put a strain on our downtown retail economy as well as our small business economy in the Seven Hills Business District. The why for that is the changing economic times, and it's very important because those businesses are sales tax generators, and we depend on them for our city services. Third, I would say, is affordable housing. We need to make sure Nevada City stays multi-generational.
Thank you. Mr. Hadami?
I wouldn't be surprised if we all agreed on it. Fire. Fire is maybe the key issue. I like to tie it together with open space, and I am a big advocate of the city acquiring more open space around the city, and particularly meshing that with the city's work that they're doing now to create a shaded fuel break that circles the city. The city is now engaged in that project. And at Hirschman's Pond and Deer Creek and Sugarloaf Mountain. So to continue that, to create that all the way around the city in conjunction with an effort by the city to acquire public and private lands available around the city, especially through grant money, so we don't have to pay for it directly.
Thank you. Mr. Klein?
Yeah, we are lucky to live in a very vocal community, so the community lets us know what the important issues are. Fire is number one for obvious reasons. We're about to face a summer that's going to remind us of that, and I'm grateful for the work that I've been able to get done with the council on that topic. Second to me is housing. We are running out of space for people who love it here and have lived here all their lives and have created the culture that we all appreciate here. If artists can't live in Nevada City will cease to be what we know as Nevada City. And third, this one is less fun, but it's updating our aging infrastructure. Super important. We all take for granted that we have great water coming into our houses and then leaving our houses once it's less great. But our systems in place are working, but not sustainable unless we fix everything up. So those are my three.
Thank you. The next question, Mr. Hadami will answer first. What are your reasons for running for office?
There are quite a few, but let me just start with, I've been on the Planning Commission now for the last year, which I have to say that I agreed to do initially reluctantly. I was asked to fill out Peter Van Zandt slot on the Planning Commission, and he had resigned or was resigning for health reasons. I went before the Planning Commission on the other side of the spectrum when we had our neighborhood situation, and I understood, I knew that it was not an easy job. But I have to say I've been pleasantly surprised and have enjoyed it, and I feel that I can contribute to the whole process as a result of that experience on the Planning Commission. Thank you.
Mr. Klein?
Yeah, I didn't anticipate feeling the need to run for re-election, but as the date grew ever closer, I looked at what we've accomplished. It's been a very effective council, and I look at what there still is to do, especially in terms of housing. And I realized I do have the heart for another 4 years if the city will have me. Again, very proud of what we've accomplished in fire safety and recognizing the culture of our place, creating the Public Arts Commission for the first time, Office of Emergency Services. These are important things. And I've seen what you can do with a great staff and a council that is focused on what's important to the community. And I realize that's a rare opportunity, having spoken to other elected officials. And so I'd love to continue serving for those reasons.
Thank you. Ms. Sortland?
I'm running for city council because of all of you. We live in such a special community. We're bound together with our love for this community. We are engaged. We are generous. We are caring. And we come together when people need us. And I have a lot of faith and trust in this community, and I would be honored to represent you on the City Council.
Thank you. The next question, Mr. Klein will answer first. How has your past employment and/or experience in civic affairs prepared you to be an effective city council member?
Past employment, city affairs. I mean, the last 4 years, I feel like that's a gimme. I've been on the council for the past 4 years, learned a lot very quickly. There's so many different things that come up, and some stuff I was experienced with, you know. We took on the Miners Foundry to keep that from closing, and I'd performed at the Miners Foundry many times, and that experience was actually helpful in the discussions. But beyond that, having owned a business downtown Nevada City, I bring that perspective to the city, and when we interface with the Economic Resource Council and the Chamber of Commerce, I can relate to the experiences people are having downtown and in Seven Hills with the struggling economy. And beyond that, as I said, all of my experience, just having been here, working here, living here, ground floor experience of what it's like to be a citizen of Nevada City.
Ms. Sortland?
Jennifer, can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. How has your past employment and/or experience in civic affairs prepared you to be an effective city council member?
Thank you. As I mentioned in my opening statement, I have 20 years of experience working with the federal government. The Social Security Administration is an agency of the federal government, and I navigate that system every day. I make court appearances up to 15 times a month. I make opening statements, closing statements. I research Ninth Circuit case law. I write federal district court briefs. I'm bringing a lot of skills to the table. I'm also a musician. My husband and I are musicians, and our musical life has brought a lot of joy and understanding about teamwork and an appreciation for how arts and culture bring community together. So I feel like, without knowing it, I was preparing for this my whole life.
Okay. Mr. Hatami.
I worked for 25 years in retail management, and retail training. Since over, of course, the last year, I've been in the city government, in the planning commission, and I think that's really given me a good sense of the nuts and bolts and how things work and how to get things done and how to work with people in the city government. I'd also like to say that I'd be excited about working in the government now just because of the new people that have come in. As our city manager and as our city planner, we have two really, I think, great new people that are coming in and into those two, obviously, key positions, the most important positions.
Thank you. Okay. I'm sorry. Mr. Klein, did you answer that question?
I sure did.
Okay. Okay. Next question, we start with Ms. Sortland. Are the state of California's new ADU guidelines appropriate or not appropriate for Nevada City, and how would you facilitate or resist these guidelines?
ADUs are an important part of creating housing stock, especially in communities that need to meet their housing elements of the general plan. Personally, I support pre-approved plans for ADUs as it encourages housing but ensures that the design look belongs in Nevada City. And as a city council member, I think the point of the city council member is to help the community. So if we can streamline a process of allowing ADUs to be built without all of the red tape, I think that is very important, and I would support that.
Thank you. Mr. Hadami.
Yeah, I worked on the ADU guidelines with the Planning Commission since we had to approve them first before before they went to the City Council, and I observed that City Council meeting where the City Council approved the guidelines, and I agree with the three City Council members that criticized the state guidelines with the caveat that we have to observe them, but they do not fit a small town. And I think one of the things that was criticized by the three council members, and I see all three here, was they're not appropriate because of the number of ADUs they allow on a single lot. It's too many for Nevada City. Time up.
Mr. Klein?
Could you just repeat the question one time? I want to make sure I get it.
Yes. Are the state of California's new ADU guidelines appropriate or not appropriate for Nevada City? And how would you facilitate or resist these guidelines?
As a city council member, I would follow state law, first and foremost. Secondly, I think that we do have to keep an eye on making sure things are fire safe, et cetera, when they go into our backyards and so forth. If people have room to create housing in their backyards and the means to build that out and choose to do so, I think that is a gift to this community, which is in desperate need of housing.
Thank you. Okay. Next question will be answered first by Mr. Hadami. What will you do to address housing availability and affordability?
Well, two things. First, I think I'd like to start with the HEW building, which we're all looking at and we're all hoping will be converted, that there will be a project that will actually come to fruition over the next 4 years. And and that would, according to our own city ordinances, require 30% of it to be affordable housing. I definitely support that, and I definitely support implementing the city ordinance and requiring the developer to do that. And I definitely also support the neighborhood's perspective on where that project should go.
Mr. Klein?
Yeah, that the project Jim mentioned is one of the rare opportunities we have to really do something to tackle our housing shortage. I don't think it's appropriate to put single-family housing there. We have a lot of that. It's not affordable for people. We have a workforce that wants to live here and wants to work here, but is getting shoved out. I would love to see a sensible number of apartments put in that people could afford to while they save to buy their own homes. We have to look at what we're lacking and take advantage of this opportunity to put it in that spot. Obviously, doing traffic studies, obviously doing environmental, taking care to make sure it's a good project, but we don't get these opportunities all the time, and it's a great opportunity.
Ms. Sortland?
Affordable housing is crucial for a thriving community environment. So Nevada City needs to do whatever it can to support having more affordable housing options within city limits. We do have city-owned lots that are potentially appropriate for development. The HEW, as Adam and Jim mentioned, is a site that is 12 acres that is within walking distance of downtown. It's currently in the county, but could be annexed in because it's on our city sewer, and having affordable housing where people can walk into town and utilize our parks, utilize our restaurants, contribute to our sales tax base and property tax base would be very important.
Okay, well, we're going to give everyone an opportunity to talk more about the HEW building. Mr. Klein, we'll start with you. What is your position on the HEW redevelopment, and have you communicated with the Willow Valley neighbors about their concerns?
I've spoken to individuals who live in that area. I haven't had a formal meeting. I'm not sure if there is a formal body. I think I stated my position. We've seen over the years these sort of same voices saying that co-housing would be the end of Nevada City as we know it, which of course it's been a blessing on our community. Then they said Cashin's Field would be the end of Nevada City as we know it, and it hasn't been the case. Then they said if voters didn't support Measure W, the following horrible things would happen. Voters rejected Measure W, and the horrible things did not follow. So I feel confident that the HEW project, it will not be the end of the world, and hopefully the process of getting community input on it will result in something that works for everybody. But you have to remember that was once a busy building, and the neighborhood was fine.
Ms. Sortland?
Jennifer, could you please repeat the question?
Yes. What is your position on the HEW redevelopment, and have you communicated with the Willow Valley neighbors about their concerns?
First of all, I have communicated with the Willow Valley Neighborhood Association. Hi, Lori. Hi, Pamela. Nice to see you. Yes, I am aware of the concerns, and absolutely those voices need to be heard loud and clear because the development in their neighborhood impacts them directly. I'm in a similar position. My home on Coyote Street is subject to changes where the courthouse will be potentially relocating it to Upper Coyote. And so our neighborhood also has a lot of concerns about the changing character and increased traffic that can occur when big development comes into small communities. So all voices need to be heard. We need to make decisions as a team that are the best decisions for Nevada City as a whole.
Mr. Hadami.
Yeah, as I said earlier, I think it's great that that we can work to bring this project to fruition, and that it will help us also meet our housing goals with the state. It's interesting, actually, if you look at it, the site is the exact same acreage as the co-housing, and one of the main proposals I heard from neighbors was a similar amount of units, which would be in the low 30s as the co-housing. So it would be great if we would have another project there that would be similar to the co-housing, which has itself been a wonderful attribute to the city.
Thank you. Ms. Sortland, you answer first. The question is, are the city's current fire safety and evacuation plans adequate, and what improvements would you advocate for to further reduce fire risk?
Wildfire is the single greatest threat to our community safety. I am so impressed and grateful for the work that is currently being done. Big thanks to Measure C funds and all of the FireWise communities. We have a lot of activity in terms of advancing our fire preparedness, home hardening. What can be done? We always need to do more. This is something that we need to be thinking about today on a rainy day in April. We don't want to be thinking about it when we smell smoke. So every day of the year, we need to be thinking about it and preparing. I'm learning a lot from the Deer Creek Southside FireWise community because they are leaders in our community in how we can prepare and do our part as community members.
Mr. Hadamy?
I'm glad Michaela called out the work of the Firewise communities, which actually inspired the Measure C, which is phenomenal that it's created an apparatus for us that I hope we can continue. I'd also like to say that I'm so glad that I think there's been an evolution in theory about fire, since coming from on the federal level, they say that there's no climate change, that the trees are the enemy, and that we don't operate from that same perspective, and we fight it when it seeps into the state. What I'm really excited about is that the city itself is working to create a healthy forest buffer, which is trees, and they're working on removing the understory. That they will create that around the city, and that will protect the city.
Mr. Klein?
As I said, I'm extremely proud of what this council's accomplished in terms of fire safety, creation of OES, our fire fuels mitigation crew. Evan and Camille are exemplary staff members, and I place total trust in them on this. They are tapped into the Firewise communities and great communicators, and I think a lot of us in this room feel a lot safer than we did 4 years ago at this time because of their great work, which would not have been possible without the council getting Measure C passed and making use of those funds. In terms of, I think your question was about evacuation routes, and I think that is the next big challenge for our ongoing work, is to not only map those, but educate the community. So we're not going to have time when it's an emergency to go check it out. We're all going to need to know this stuff by heart because we've seen what's happened in other communities close to our size. So really thankful that we've got the people in place that we've got.
Thank you. Oh, Mr. Hadamy, you answer this question first. Nevada City's new fire mitigation ordinance requiring removal of all plants within 5 feet of homes is considered by some residents to be government overreach. Do you agree with this ordinance, or should it be revised, and how?
That is a difficult one, because we do have that ordinance now. It is actually not enforced, as far as I know. And I know personally there are many people that just ignore it. I tend to agree with that ordinance. I don't think I'd be comfortable with putting penalties on people for ignoring it. So I favor keeping things as they are.
Mr. Klein?
I think you're only as safe as your neighbor's house is safe. My house was inspected, as all of our houses were inspected by the crew, and I was told I had to take down some stuff that was hanging off of my front deck there, and I thought that made my house look very beautiful, and I was sad to get rid of it. But when you're talking about fire, you trust the experts. You don't trust, well, I do think it's pretty. So I encourage everyone to trust the word of experts on this and follow the guidelines that our talented staff has come up with.
Ms. Sortland?
Jennifer, can you please repeat the question?
Yes. Nevada City's new fire mitigation ordinance requiring removal of all plants within 5 feet of homes is considered by some residents to be government overreach. Do you agree with this ordinance, or should it be revised, and how?
From my understanding of the ordinance, I don't believe it requires you to remove all plants within the first 5 feet, just certain ones that are fire hazards. But I think it's a very good ordinance, and of course we need to be preparing as much as we possibly can. Putting on my disability advocate lens, we have very underutilized assistance programs for people who need, that could help people that can't afford it or need help making the decisions of which plants need to be removed. And so sitting down with Camille and Evan last week, they let me know that they're going to be loosening up the parameters to qualify for those services. So if you're working on that, or if you're worried about, which plants do I need to remove, you can call them and they will come visit your home, which is such a great service.
Thank you. Mr. Klein, you answer this question first. The northern boundary of Nevada City along the Highway 49 corridor will undergo significant changes in the near future, especially due to a new courthouse and adjacent infrastructure. What will you do as a city council member to ensure the interest of city residents are protected as these changes take place?
These are some of the vocal neighbors I was telling you about earlier. I hear from these folks a lot, and they're very concerned, quite reasonably, because we don't know what that project's going to be yet. The scope and size seems to be changing all the time. As far as our jurisdiction goes, this council would do everything it could do to make sure that the quality of life of these people stays as high as they've grown accustomed to. That said, out of our jurisdiction, we have to work with partners and communicate our needs to them. So yeah, it's an absolute priority. There are people in that neighborhood I'm very close to, and they've made it clear that they have preferences, and they also, I think, have an understanding, as adults should, that they're not going to get everything they want, but that they're looking for a city that's going to fight for them, and I think that's what they've got.
Ms. Sortland?
Jennifer, can you please repeat the question? I want to make sure I get it right.
Yeah. The northern boundary of Nevada City along the Highway 49 corridor will undergo significant changes in the near future, especially due to a new courthouse and adjacent infrastructure. What will you do as a city council member to ensure the interest of city residents are protected as these changes take place?
As changes take place, we're going to make sure that we, if I'm elected to the city council, commit to open communication, commit to transparency in decision-making, exploring alternatives. We need to help our community be informed and know when they can interact with the system and give community input. So for example, the courthouse directly impacts my neighborhood, as I mentioned, and sometimes it feels like information is coming out of the blue. Did I miss something? Staying really on top of the information coming out. And so I think the city council needs to be very transparent in terms of informing the community and giving the community a chance to respond and make sure that their voices are heard when these big decisions are taking place.
Mr. Hadami?
There's three different community groups that are very much involved in these issues, and I feel that as a city council person, I would respond very closely to what these groups representing the neighborhoods impacted most heavily have to say. And so those groups are the Cement Hill Neighborhood Group, the Orchard Street Group, and the Coyote Street Neighbors. They've all advocated specific measures, and I was really glad to see that the state highway plans for 49 were changed because of the impact of the Orchard Street Group that was led by Don Joy. I hope they listen to the Cement Hill Group as far as the roundabout that they plan to put in, and I hope they listen to the Coyote Street Group as far as its issues that it has with some of the proposals that are being put for the 49 and then ultimately for the courthouse.
Thank you. Okay, the next question, we begin with you, Ms. Sortland. How important is it to you to maintain the historic character and feel of Nevada City, and why?
Well, it is very important to me, and I'd like to thank our visionary leaders of the past and the 1968 Historical Ordinance 338 as well as the 1972 Downtown Betterment Project. We have a beautiful historic district that is a gem, and in my mind, it's the closest thing to a small European town. It's well preserved. My husband and I, both being from Nevada City, wanted to move back for that reason. So I support protecting the historic district and making sure that it continues, that we get to continue to enjoy that. And it's why Nevada City is a world-class destination.
Mr. Hadami?
I agree with every single word that just came out of Michaela's mouth. I'd also like to add that in the creation of the historic district and the other ordinances that in the background was money because the extractive industries, logging and mining were gone. So the idea was that this would create a financial stability for the town. So on the Planning Commission, and now we're working on revising our design guidelines, I see it as a very practical thing in terms of ensuring the viability of us financing our budget. We need to do all these wonderful things, but we're doing it for a very practical reason.
Mr. Klein?
What's great about it is I don't think there's anyone sitting up here or sitting on the council or anyone in their right mind who would want to do anything to destroy our historic downtown. It is a jewel. It is what draws people here for in many cases. And the stores that are lucky enough to be there benefit every day from the people that it brings in. I lived on Commercial Street for 13 years. That it was home. And it's a great place to live right downtown, I'll tell you that. I don't think there's any real threat to our downtown other than fire, because there aren't people with it in mind to do anything to remove what makes that place so special.
Okay, the next question, we start with Mr. Hadami. What are your thoughts on murals and other art installations in the historic downtown? And what, if anything, would be acceptable?
Yeah, I was going to raise my card before in reference to our mayor's remarks that he just made that there's no threat to downtown. And I just attended a city council meeting where I think 10 different shopkeepers came up and talked about a threat that had also been talked about by the Chamber of Commerce, by Lynn Screwcrott of this Chamber of Commerce, and by Wendy, which is the threat of us losing sales tax generating businesses to non-sales tax businesses, i.e. yoga studios, pottery studios, offices, home residences. We are losing tax money. Tax money that we get from sales tax is 40% or 41% of our revenue that pays for everything, for our police and everything else. If we lose it, we're in trouble.
Okay, Mr. Klein?
You'd like me to respond to that?
Well, the answer was, the question was about murals and our other art installations. Was that your rebuttal?
He was doing a rebuttal to
Okay.
something I said, is my understanding of the situation.
So is that your rebuttal? That was your rebuttal?
That was my rebuttal of his
Okay.
remark that there's no concerns about the downtown.
Okay, so now let's have you start answering the question. So what are your thoughts on murals and other art installations in the historic downtown? What, if anything, would be acceptable?
I support what the Arts Commission is doing. I support everything that Adam and others are doing to enhance the art in our art-loving community. I also support the murals, such as the one that was done by Miriam Morris on Argyle Way, which is phenomenal. I'm not sure that I would support murals in our historic downtown. I think there's plenty of other places for them, and I would bring other folks into that discussion on that issue.
Mr. Klein?
Yeah, there's no current effort to put permanent public art in the historic downtown. As Jim said, the Public Arts Commission is working to put some art going, get some art going in the Seven Hills District, including on Argyle Way. The thing is, historically, there have been murals on downtown buildings. So it's a discussion that might be had at a later date, but I don't think there's an effort right now towards that. But there are buildings downtown where it would be historical to put art on the sides. And we've got the pictures to prove it.
Ms. Sortland?
I really like the idea of having more murals in the Seven Hills Business District. That area, in my view, needs more color, more vibrancy, more plants, more lighting, make it feel like a destination in and of itself. The historical district, I don't think we need murals in the historical district. I think that it's beautiful the way it is. The mural that's associated with the National Hotel looks really nice. A lot of people take photos of themselves and post it on Instagram. They're standing in front of that mural, so that one looks nice. So if there was a conversation about a potential mural at some point, it could be a conversation that I could be open to, but for now, I believe the Historic District does not need murals.
Thank you. The next question will be answered by Mr. Klein first. In your opinion, does the ground floor use policy for downtown need to be changed, and why? What is your position on the effectiveness of the ground floor use permit policy and its impact on sales tax revenue?
I think the issue is the idea of some folks using what would be prime retail spots for as residents. And I agree that that's a problem for a downtown business zone. I think the lines of where that stops making sense and starts making sense should be a community discussion. But generally speaking, I think in the areas we know as the downtown retail areas, those spots should be used for downtown retail, restaurants, and services. And with upstairs living arrangements or just on the other side of that line, I think that there's definitely community discussion worth having there, and I support it.
Ms. Sortland?
I own a small business that is registered with the Chamber of Commerce. My husband and I live within walking distance of the downtown area in Nevada City. We really enjoy the Nevada City's walkability, and we enjoy shopping in the retail businesses. We enjoy dining in the restaurants, and we need to protect our small business owners at all costs, and do whatever we can to support them and be a partner with them. So if we're hearing right now, which I know we are, from the business owners of the downtown business district, and they are very concerned about interfering with the flow of walkability in terms of the flow of business and creating islands where folks that are potentially strolling and shopping are going to stop and not go further, then we really need to listen to that, and I support a rewrite of the zoning.
Mr. Hadami?
It seems like we're all agreed that this is a problem. However, there's another problem, which is that when it came up for a vote, I happen to have been the only one that voted against the displacement of retail business in ground floor locations in the key retail zone. So, and we're talking specifically about J.J. Jackson, the old Earth store, and a new store, Omari, that are not retail tax generating businesses. So then this issue went to the city council, and on appeal by Wendy Ermshar, who's the head of the Chamber of Commerce, she did it personally, so not representing that group, and not one city council member was willing to actually discuss it, the issue, and they voted against it 5-0. So we just heard that it's bad, but nobody actually, when they had a chance, did anything.
Okay. The next question is to be answered first by Ms. Sortland. Where do you think the city is currently spending too much or too little, and how would you address that in your next year's budget?
I think the city is, I think that, there's always more that we need to do and not enough money to pay for everything. We are a very small economy. The size of our economy is, I believe, our strength. We're a nimble economy. We have boundaries, but set in by the geography. We're in a mountain zone. We have a creek running through right downtown, so we're very confined by what we have. And oops, I lost track of what the question was, so I'm going to stop there.
Or where do you think the city is currently spending too much or too little money? What would you do to address that in next year's budget?
Yeah, that's a tough question, and I think, jumping in, am I allowed to speak anymore? It says time up.
Oh, time up.
Okay.
Nope. Time's up. Mr. Hadami?
That happens. We have a big water and sewer problem that's coming down the pipe on us. And I think, I'm not sure that everybody realizes it. There was a really good article in the Union about how much it actually is going to be, since it was presented at the city council by the consultant at 25% a year, but for the next 5 years, but that's going to be compounded, so it's an over 200% increase. So I would like to see any extra money that we can get, and I would like to see that we strive to get extra money on top of any extra money we get to mitigate that and to help people, especially people who are vulnerable money-wise, to deal with that issue.
Mr. Klein?
That has become, after that study was presented to us, a really urgent issue. Previous councils going back 9 years have sort of kicked the can down the road, and this is the council that's decided the buck stops here and we have to do something about this. We have aging infrastructure, and we haven't been raising our water rates in line with what the water's been costing the city, so that's not sustainable, and we are making the efforts to update that, and through working with the community, we're not going to surprise anyone with this. There will be a lot of discussion on this, and it's incredibly important that we do the responsible thing rather than the politically expedient thing. We've had a lot of good fortune in getting grants over these past few years, and that's helped pay for a lot of the projects we've got going on. But it's not a good idea to count on grant money for ongoing projects. It's really for one-time stuff. We've got the money, we can spend it, but we shouldn't assume we're going to have grant money coming down the road. This has been a council that's been really interested in living within our means and not dipping into the general fund.
Okay. Next question, Mr. Hadami will answer first. And you're a good person to be answering this question first. What qualifications would you be looking for in the planning commissioner you appoint?
I think it's something Woody Allen said. It's just show up on time first. I really think it's like any of the jobs we're talking about, our job, the first qualification is a love of the city. And a love of the city and an appreciation of what we have here in our historic downtown and in our neighborhoods. That really would be, to me, the first qualification. Second qualification, not being upset if people are angry at you. If you make a decision that that's counter to what they think their best interests are. I think that the Planning Commission always knows what the best interest of every individual is. That's a joke. That's not a funny joke. Sorry.
Mr. Klein?
I'm in the position that I've had to appoint 3 different planning commissioners over my time because folks move around. It was important to me, in addition to the intellect and patience that job requires, those are some long meetings, was to I picked 3 women, all 3 with long histories here, because I thought that it was important to have that kind of balance on the Planning Commission, the same way I think about it for the City Council. And I'm proud of all 3 of them, 3 very different minds, but all served the city really well. And I would keep that criteria going, but I really hope I don't have to pick a new one. She can stay as long as she wants.
Ms. Sortland?
In appointing a planning commissioner, I would really appreciate someone who is from the area or grew up here and has a vested interest in supporting our long-term goals and supporting what's best for Nevada City, and someone who really respects the historical ordinance, someone who is a hard worker that's willing to put in long hours, and someone who works well as a team, because we need our planning commission to represent different points of view, but come together and, even if they have a different vote on an issue, work together at the end of the day.
Thank you. The next question, we start with Mr. Klein. What are the most pressing capital improvements needed in Nevada City?
Seems like we're always just getting a little bit ahead of you. The water and sewer, as I've said, is there's an urgency there because previous councils have opted not to act when I really wish they should have. It's the sort of thing that might make my council not too popular right now, but 10 years from now, people are going to be very, very grateful we did it. The way I would be incredibly grateful if 9 years ago that council had actually taken it on so we wouldn't have to talk about it right now. That's very urgent, and I got 30 seconds, so I'll just throw in, now that the Miners Foundry is a government building, air conditioning.
Ms. Sortland?
Jennifer, can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. What are the most pressing capital improvements needed in Nevada City?
Sewer and water infrastructure upgrades are hugely important. As Nevada City residents, when we turn on our tap, we expect water to come out, and we need to make sure that system is reliable and that our community can afford to pay for those services. So that's hugely important, as Jim and Adam have both mentioned. Also, sidewalk improvement, filling potholes. I'm a big fan of the Searles sidewalk project and the Zion Street improvement plans with advancing our walking paths and bicycle path infrastructure. I think that's really important and will help us become more walkable and more sustainable moving into the future.
Mr. Hadami?
I agree, of course, sewer and water, and since we already discussed it prior, I just want to add another area which is perhaps not as pressing, but maybe in the long run, which is expanding upon our trails and our wonderful trail system that's really grown up a lot over the last 10 years, such as the trail out to the suspension bridge over Deer Creek. Expanding the trail system, the signage, and making it more available to visitors, to tourists. And this is a money enhancer for Nevada City, that area of tourism. So I'd like to see that done as well.
Thank you. The next question, Ms. Sortland, you will answer first. What do you envision for the future of the Seven Hills District?
I really like how the Chamber of Commerce has been talking about changing the name of the district to the Seven Hills Arts District. I think that would really give us an opportunity to focus on that district as a destination in and of itself. We have a lot of big businesses there that are driving our economy, and it's critically important. So for the future of that community, I would like to see more projects that beautify the area. I would like to see a wellness community. I know there is a thriving wellness community there, but the city can partner and support that development even further. We have a lot of parking there, so there's a lot of opportunity to use that district to our advantage.
Mr. Hatami.
Yes, I definitely support the efforts which are being made in Seven Hills District. Just being in that neighborhood, I think that part of the improvement would be, which we're beginning to see now, is work being done on the surrounding streets, which where the traffic can be very bad and dangerous. So that's a big concern to the neighborhood, and I'm talking about Searles and Zion in particular. So I would like to see that included in the efforts that are being made to enhance that business district.
Mr. Klein?
Seven Hills is the part of town I lived in when I was in high school. I've got a lot of fond memories, and I'm very excited by the work that's being done there. The sidewalks are going to be great. Walkability is so important in a town our size. And to connect Seven Hills and downtown is going to be very, very meaningful. I'm excited about that. I want to point out that Seven Hills, not downtown, is where most of our sales tax revenue comes from. And a lot of those businesses don't feel that they get the love of downtown because downtown is so beautiful and Seven Hills is so Seven Hills. But with the Public Arts Commission and the Chamber of Commerce, there is a lot of attention being paid to Seven Hills right now, and I think in the next few years it's going to be transformative. And it will be more than just a place where locals go to shop and get our groceries and health food and so forth, and really open it up. And also shout out to Seven Hills because that's where one of my many jobs is located. Why do I have so many jobs? I live in Nevada City, California.
Okay, Mr. Hatami, you answer this question first. What skills do you bring to the city concerning fiscal management?
I think I touched on some of that a little bit earlier. I do have a background in retail management for many years, and I managed groups of salespeople throughout the West for a variety of different retail companies. The last one being Echo Shoes, which I worked as a sales rep manager. Aside from that, of course, the experiences that I'm now having working on the Planning Commission.
Mr. Klein?
Yeah, beyond, I owned a business and everything, and it's the sort of thing where you want to make sure those numbers add up right. The thing about Nevada City is we're what's called a full-service city, and most jurisdictions our size are not full-service cities. We have fire, we have police, we have sewer, we have water. It's expensive, and what we don't have, and this is something I think a lot of us in this room like about us, is chain stores and so forth. So while Grass Valley's collecting sales tax money from Target, we're making do with locally owned businesses. So we have less to play with, so to speak. I'm very glad the council I've served with has been very careful with our money. We have not dipped into the general fund, and our investments are paying off, and I'm thankful for that. But there's not a real appetite with this current council to spend out beyond our means, which can be frustrating for a lot of people who say, why don't you? And the answer is money.
Ms. Sortland?
I believe it's the role of a council member to be fiscally conservative, make sure that our general fund is protected, make sure that we have money in the bank. We've been talking about the water and sewer infrastructure upgrades that are needed. Currently, we don't have money in the bank for those, and we've had experts come in and say we need to build up our reserves in that regard. So I appreciate the work that the council is doing in terms of the transparency of how the city funds are managed. And I'm bringing skills to the table in that I own a small business and I understand the importance of money management firsthand.
Thank you. Mr. Klein, you answer this question first. Is growth necessary in Nevada City? And if it is, how do you balance growth while protecting the character of the community?
We are about 2 square miles in size, so growth is a tricky one, though there are opportunities. Given the number of empty houses and Airbnbs going up, there are a lot of houses that aren't being used by families anymore. I found that when knocking on doors, talking to people during my re-election campaign, as people were saying, you know, there used to be families on this street, and that's not happening anymore. So I would love to get a return to that kind of character, if you're talking about character. But I'll also just quickly say that Nevada City needs artists to be Nevada City. And if artists can't afford to live here, we're going to discover it isn't just the beautiful buildings that make this place. So the opportunities for building, we need to take advantage of to keep our culture, if that's what's important.
Ms. Sortland?
We all love what's so special about Nevada City, and I think everyone in this room in particular is vested in our future and really care about Nevada City, generally speaking. So, Jennifer, can you please repeat the question quickly?
Yeah, is growth necessary? Yes. And if it is, how do you balance growth while protecting the character of the community?
Right, so we don't need growth for the sake of growth, but we also shouldn't be just doing things the way we've always done them just because that's the way we've always done them. I think this is a time where we need to come together, really evaluate the pros and cons of how we've been managing Nevada City, and think about, you know, how do we really set ourselves up for an economically viable future.
Okay, Mr. Hatami.
We have actually been working on some of this in the Planning Commission in reference to the ADUs and also just beginning in talking about the housing element in the general plan. We do need growth. Our expenses are growing, and we talked about it a little bit earlier in reference to the HEW building. That kind of growth would be great. We also, the city, as I think Adam mentioned, owns various plots of land around the city that would be very good to build on those plots and to have affordable housing in those plots and within the guidelines that we all abide by with the Planning Commission, et cetera.
Okay, Ms. Sortland, you answer this question first. Since the city is suffering from low sales tax revenues, as a member of the city council, would you consider a services tax, and how might that work?
As a member of city council, you really need to think, is what we're doing helping or hurting? Are we supporting small business, or are we making it harder for the small business to open their doors and keep the doors open? So in terms of implementing more taxes or making it harder for businesses to conduct business in Nevada City, I would have to really look at what is being presented and weigh the pros and cons, but we need to support our residents and especially our business owners.
Mr. Hatami?
We're in a situation in Nevada City where we have quite a few vacant buildings downtown. There's different circumstances that are behind that. So we have to be really careful about what we do in the city council. The city council, for instance, went to great lengths to give the owners of the National Hotel very significant breaks, tax breaks, in when they built the National Hotel. And this I think is good. This kind of flexibility in dealing, we have to fill those vacant spaces. It'll help everything that we're talking about in terms of generating income for the city to pay for our services. And I think the new city council, whoever is on it, has to be very aggressive in working with owners and others and doing what we can to encourage the filling up all the vacant spaces in the downtown in particular. I don't think a new tax will help.
Mr. Klein?
Yeah, I respectfully reject the premise of the question. Our sales tax revenue is up over pre-pandemic levels. It has been steady over the past 4 years. As I said earlier, Seven Hills is where our largest tax generators come from. Downtown businesses are wildly important to me. They're a big part of why people visit our town, but our sales tax generators are strong, and Seven Hills is where they are.
Okay, Mr. Hatami, you answer first this next question. Do you support the movement toward fire-safe building materials even when it's in conflict with the historical architectural guidelines, and where do you draw the line?
So we actually spent a fair amount of time already working on this, and one thing that I've seen in choosing siding that's not wood in historical homes is that materials have changed, and it's possible to meet the design guidelines with non-wood on windows and on siding and on the front of the houses, which is what we look at. So I don't think we need. I think it's possible to be done, and we're actually doing it now de facto, and we will be putting it into print, or Jessica, the city planner, will be putting it into print over the next few months, I believe.
Mr. Klein?
Yes, absolutely. I don't think that we need to adhere to 1850s standards of fire safety as the 1850s or when our town burned down a couple times. I think that if we can keep the look and character of the buildings while making them more safe, that's a win-win. And I can't imagine an argument to the contrary, given the fact that we now live in a time that is hotter and drier than even back then.
Ms. Sortland?
I think Nevada City should work with an architectural preventionist, someone who understands how to create the look that we all love about our historic district, but use like-for-like replacement for windows, framing, and siding with cement-based materials potentially. Wooden fences, I know, are particularly dangerous because they are a leading source and cause of structure-to-structure ignition. So we need to make sure that wooden fences are replaced with metal fences. Yeah, I think we need to be really thinking about how do we protect the historic district from fire. I've heard folks mention that, you know, the homes are what they're worried about. They're not so much worried about the downtown, and I don't think that's a valid argument. I think that, you know, if a fire comes through and it's a fire event, it could easily come right through town.
Okay, this is the last question, and then we'll go to closing statements. We begin with Mr. Klein. What can the city do to support local businesses and attract new ones?
I think lately, Nevada City has unfortunately developed a reputation for not being friendly to new business. And I think, sadly, that is earned. People trying new things in town has resulted in a lot of noise about, well, that's not how we've always done things. But we've had the internet happen, and that has changed how retail works across our country. COVID happened, that changes how people buy and spend, and we need to adjust. The yoga studio in question that was mentioned earlier has a retail component, but it's something new in town, and if it works, we're all going to benefit from that. And if it doesn't work, they've updated the building, and the next tenant is going to benefit from that. I think we need to stop being scared of people trying things. This is a person willing to buy the building and put in their dream business.
Ms. Sortland?
I have a personal interest and passion for making sure we revitalize the Alpha building. It has been sitting vacant for so long. As I mentioned, I'm from here, grew up here, moved away, moved back. When I moved away, it was empty, and it's still empty. And that's sad. I know the community really agrees with me on that. We all feel the same way. I know there's been proposals over the years that could have worked out and did not. So I think we really need to take a hard look at how to bring vibrancy back to the cornerstone of our community. We have other potential buildings, HEW that we've talked about, the courthouse that we've talked about. We can't let these buildings be unattended and not have a plan. So we need to come together and offer our talents to solve this problem.
And Mr. Hatami?
I hate to do this, but I somewhat disagree with our distinguished mayor's statement. And I'm just, I can just cite what was said at the city council meeting by all the business owners, that when a business comes in that you have to make an appointment to, it diminishes traffic of people walking up and down the street, as they like to do, walking into many different stores, and it impacts them negatively. This is what the owner of the hat store said. This is what the owners of many different stores said. So sometimes a decision on one particular store is more than just that. And the other thing that was said by the business owners, and that I agree with, is that we all like yoga. Yoga is great. Does yoga have to be in a big storefront in the front? Can it not be upstairs or in the back of the store? And that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Now we move to closing statements. The order is going to be inverse of the opening statements. So we'll start with Mr. Klein, followed by Mr. Hatami, and ending with Ms. Sortland. And you each have 2 minutes.
I'm going to begin by talking about what we've heard about a lot tonight, and that's downtown business. As I said, the yoga studio does have a retail component. You don't need an appointment to walk in the door. If it is a huge success, the coffee shop next door is going to benefit greatly from a lot of people getting out of yoga classes and getting a cup of coffee. The businesses next to the yoga studio and the coffee shop are going to benefit from having a great yoga studio and a great coffee shop next door. Update your window displays, have something that'll bring people in. We're all going to benefit. Furthermore, in relationships and in governance, control is not an act of love. Service is. I'm not here because I think Nevada City needs to be controlled. This place has given me everything, and I'm here because serving you all feels like the clearest, most useful way I can express my love and gratitude for this place. It's the only home I've ever known. Thank you for supporting me 4 years ago, and I hope you'll consider letting me serve you for another 4 years.
Thank you. Mr. Hatami?
Thanks to the League of Women Voters for running this event very nicely, and thanks for everybody for coming out on quite a miserable night. Earlier today, I was at a candidates forum with Adam and Michaela, and I finally found out that I had something in common with Adam. And it wasn't that I had dated the mother of one of any of his many girlfriends. It was that we both had our first job. Our first job was we were both dishwashers. So we have a commonality there. And I also learned from Michaela that we share a similar passion for our town's wonderful trails and creeks and open spaces. So I hope that everyone here and everybody that's listening later, I hope that, this whole discussion it has helped sort of define some of the issues that we all face as the community. And that being said, I hope that, you're going to look at me as a candidate, my experience, and I want to say independence too, will make me a good person to be in the open seat on the city council.
Thank you. Ms. Sortland?
I'm very grateful to be here, and I am honored to be a candidate for Nevada City Council. This community is so special. We have something so important. This week, my husband and I experienced a life-threatening emergency, and the community came together to support us, and that is the benefit of living in a small town with such a tight-knit community. So we are very grateful for that. I have a vision for Nevada City being a leader in terms of our environmental sustainability. I think we can be a model of how we treat each other, how we respect our environment, how we protect and advance our outside spaces. I'm so grateful to this community for mentoring me, helping me learn the ropes, bringing me up to speed. This is very heartwarming to be sitting in this room. I'm grateful, and I'm happy to be leaning into my community. I'm working long days, and I'm going to sleep with a smile on my face. So I'm grateful to all of you.
Thank you. All right, well, thank you, candidates Adam Klein, James Hatami, and Michaela Sortland. Thank you, League of Women Voters, volunteers, the Root Center. And just a reminder, ballots will be mailed out the week of May 4th, and vote early. All right, thank you all.